So that's the men's side of the Owen Hart tournament. The women's side on Collision, which you haven't seen yet, Joshi, so I'll talk about it real quick here. Chris Statlander won after Dynamite cut an amazing promo about Orange Cassidy, about how she had brought herself back from injury just to watch his back so many times. And she cited examples, the Arcade Anarchy match years ago with Sabian and Miro, all the times that she, flew internationally to watch his back and to help him out, make sure he didn't get beat up, make sure he didn't get, whatever. And when did he ever do that for her? That was amazing stuff. You see that they're keeping the story alive with her and Trent, and that they're going to continue to be affiliated on some level. I love it. I loved it. Trent as well. Seeing him be serious is really interesting to me because he has been so good in a comedy role. But man, this guy is killing it with the way he's playing this character of his. And like I said last week, I love the way he's appropriated the best friend stuff into this kind of demented heel that he's becoming. It's really, really good stuff. Joshi, I know you saw this promo.
Yeah. Well, first off, Trent is a good guy. He's a really nice guy. That's what he said in that promo.
I know.
Orange is a complete narcissist. So let's get that straight, okay? I'm just messing around. But I do like what Trent is saying. And I absolutely loved what Chris Statlander said, because when you look at her matches for the title, he wasn't present very much. She is right. I remember there were times when she'd come out and I would wonder, where's Orange Cassidy?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's actually a really good story, and it makes you feel for her too. Like, yeah, she's a heel, but she has a really good reason for not wanting to be friends with Orange Cassidy anymore. Because I can't recall him showing up, and supporting her at ringside. And she always did it for him. She's not wrong. And actually, now that she actually said it, in retrospect, where was he? Why wasn't he there? Well, what's his excuse? I really am curious to see if he addresses that and what his response will be.
The most compelling heels, I've heard a lot of people say this over time, but the most compelling heels are justified heels, right?
Yeah.
Like Statlander, and what makes this thing with Stat so great is she's completely, really justified with Orange, but not with Willow.
Not with Willow,
and so it makes her like both at the same time. Yeah. She's like totally justified with Orange in so many ways, and maybe even Trent is, but then she goes off and does this total asshole thing to Willow, so it's like they're having their cake and eating it too. And Stat is projecting this confidence that I've never seen in her as a character, and I love it. I absolutely, man, it's exciting.
She's killing it.
So she comes out on Collision, murders a jobber.
Was it Robin Renegade that she wrestled?
Oh, it wasn't a jobber. It was Robin Renegade. And I'm sorry, Robin Renegade. You are not a jobber. I'm a jobber. Sorry about that. Great quick match. And Stat just kills her. Looks very strong. And then they cut a promo where Stokely basically says that Statlander is his reason for living, his inspiration.
Oh, gosh.
And that's a slight exaggeration, but not much. And says she'll be in the Owen, and really kind of intimates that she's now a women's world title contender, which, come on, Stat's beyond ready for that.
Oh, yeah.
But she's going to be in the Owen. And then directly after that, Willow Nightingale shows up to talk to, I believe it was Renee, and enters herself into the Owen. Willow, once again, just carrying herself with so much poise, so much, she's holding herself like a star. It's absolutely awesome. I love it. Are they going to face each other in the Owen? What do you think? Do they do it that quick? Or does maybe like Statlander cost Willow?
I think they might cost each other in the matches.
I can see that. I can see that.
I still see Mariah May winning the Owen.
Yeah.
And challenging Toni at All In. So I don't know if we'll actually see them face off in the Owen. I think they might save it, but I have a feeling they're going to cost each other the matches. I don't know.
Did they say that the finals of the Owen, they're going to be in Calgary?
Yes.
So they won't be at Forbidden Door.
No.
Okay, so that's just completely separate. Well, it's shaping up to be a very interesting tournament. By far the most compelling Owen Hart Owen Hart Foundation tournament to date. I felt like the first year was largely kind of a letdown from the wrestling side of it, even though Owen being affiliated with AEW is super cool, and Martha Hart giving her blessing was super cool. The tournament itself didn't really mean that much. Last year, it meant just a bit more. It was done better. But this year feels like the first year where it's truly like, yeah, like they've got the vibe dialed in. I love it. Not sure. I think you're right. And actually, you didn't watch Collision, but Toni Storm entered Mariah May herself in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So she said, Mariah, as somebody who loves you and would do anything for you, I must insist that you're entered in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament.
That accent.
It will be interesting to see where I did it perfectly, didn't I? I sounded just really like her, didn't I?
Yes.
But it'll be interesting to see where she ends up in the tournament.
Just real quick, since I wasn't on the show last week, after watching Dynamite, Mariah was wrestling Saraya, and Saraya put her in the submission hold, and Mariah was staring at Toni, pleading for her to help her. Toni didn't move. She didn't help her. And I'm actually really excited to see Mariah use this as a reason eventually for turning on Toni, because if you look at their history, Mariah is always there for Toni all the time. Toni has not done the same thing for her. I mean, she even threw in the towel. And yes, at Double or Nothing, Mariah wanted to, and I can understand why. But now, after what happened during her match with Saraya, I see her holding a grudge. I truly do, because with your best friend or your daughter, she claims that Mariah's like a daughter to her, is staring at you and saying, "Hey, please help me." And
My
you
child.
just you can't stay in that hold. How is that helping? You're pretty much telling her just give up and lose.
Right. Well, and so do they do the thing where Tony's about to throw in the towel again, and then Mariah runs out and it's in Luther's hands, and she's mad at Luther now? Because what one thing that's changed in the dynamic is, you remember in the beginning of this story, Toni couldn't remember Mariah's name.
Right. Yeah.
And now Tony's competing for her love with Mina, right? And Toni is almost being portrayed in this subservient role to Mariah, which I find very interesting. So is Toni going to be, who's going to be the heel? Is it going to be Mariah, who would be, again, a justified heel in many ways? But when you think about it, Toni's never taken a bump for Mariah. She's never even gotten knocked off the apron for Mariah to help her. And Mariah's gotten her ass kicked for Toni a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So would Mariah be the babyface or the heel? It's really hard to say.
I don't know, because Toni is so over.
Toni's so over.
But at the same time, the fans are reacting well to Mariah. It's, I think it's going to be one of those things where when it does happen, that's when we'll know.
Yeah.
It will depend on how the audience reacts. I think that's what's going to happen. At this point, it's so hard to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to say. It's really hard to say.